Hello, War of Word users. I'm Govinda Dasu, and I'm going to be interviewing music expert Ms. Susan Nace on resolved. In addition to an academic GPA, schools should report to colleges a behavioral GPA. So first of all, A or nay, Ms. Nace? Should schools report a behavioral GPA to colleges?
Yes, I think they should, but I think it should go more than that. And in fact, I'm going to expand the entire thing of what a school should be grading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we grade what we think are cognitive skills.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to expand that. We need to be grading social skills.
Really?
Yes, and not only that, corporal skills, meaning how do people move?
How do people move?
Yes, exactly. And so we have the social, we have the corporal, we have the cognitive. Cognitive we've taken care of really.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you get graded on all the time is your
Yeah.
cognitive, right? But we have the social, the corporal, the body.
Mm-hmm.
We have the aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually have something that I would say, for lack of a better word, the spiritual.
Right, but how can you put a number to that?
Well, how can you put a number to cognitive learning?
You get something right, it's right. You get something wrong, it's wrong.
But is that really what tests are truly
Right.
measuring?
Yeah, because your brain is composed of neurons that have on and off switches, and if you have the right number of on and off switches or the right pattern, you get an answer right. And there. Yes, you got it right.
Okay, so can we say in terms of social skills that you get it right?
No, that's a subjective argument, right?
Is it? Okay, kindness.
Kindness.
How subjective is kindness?
I don't know. Can you give me an example of what would be considered? I don't know. I would think that behavior in itself is somewhat subjective because one student may be sarcastic and a teacher may not like that. Another teacher might think the kid is witty.
That's true, but we're not talking about those kind of things. There are essential elements in all social constructs that are either present and demonstrated.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to put together a rubric for social, what would be some of the things that you would include?
Do they have friends?
Yes.
Do people like them?
Yeah.
Right. But how do you quantify that? And say you have a personal bias against the student, then wouldn't you be inclined to grade harsher?
Well, I think that's getting into a whole thing of interpersonal relationships between teachers and students, and it's going actually beyond your actual question. Well, if there's an interpersonal relationship between a teacher and a student regarding cognitive skills,
you can't grade harsher on that. Either you get it right or you get it wrong, right? Either you do a good job or a bad job.
But look at the kind of questions that a teacher could give that could go one way or the other.
Like what?
Okay, so those generally are the I wonder kind of questions. Okay, Was Beethoven a genius?
Yes,
Why?
because he wrote great music.
Why? Why is it great?
Because
Why is
a
it
lot of
great?
people like it. Because masses like it.
Oh, do they?
Masses at his time did, right?
Oh, did they?
Or masses after his death did.
Did they?
Right. Yeah, I would think so.
You would think so.
That's why he's so popular.
How do you quantify that?
By how long his Wikipedia page article is.
Oh, yeah?
Well, how else do you quantify it? How much publicity he gets is what I'm saying.
Okay, so how much publicity does he get? How many times have you listened to Beethoven in your life?
Probably 20, 30.
20, 30?
Probably a lot of them are repeats.
Okay, so if you were to ask
I probably listened to it and
masses-
didn't know it was Beethoven a lot of times too.
Perhaps.
Mm.
So if you were to talk to the masses about Beethoven? And is he a genius? And is he great? And is his music great?
They would say yes as well.
Why?
Because he's famous.
Why?
Because he made it click for more than the average musician makes people click with their music.
Did he make people click though? That's the point. And I think you need to look at, there are other constructs in terms of Beethoven and his greatness that go to such things as canonicity. He's
What's
part of the canon
Mm-hmm.
of classical music, but why is he part of the canon? Who determined that he was part of the canon?
See,
And what makes him great as opposed to, trying to think of somebody who was contemporary to him, Spohr.
so you're saying because of his social skills, he was able to promote himself in the way.
Oh, no. My whole thing of Beethoven
Mm-hmm.
has, and cognitive skills,
Uh-huh.
has to do with how can you actually be absolutely right or wrong regarding a question like, is Beethoven great? Was he a genius?
Okay. But what does that have to do with a behavioral GPA?
That has to do with the cognitive.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked me to give you an example. So that's the one
Mhm.
that came to the top of my head. When we talk about behavioral GPA, we're talking about social skills. We're talking about somebody and their contributions to a community. Don't you think?
But aren't those included in like extracurricular activities and those kind of things?
Are they? So where did you put on your college app, for example, kindness?
Well, it's kind of included in volunteering. Like, you can't just say, I'm kind, right? You have to say what you did that's kind.
Is volunteering always a measure of kindness?
If you're not doing it for a requirement, yeah,
Okay, how many people do it for a requirement here at Harker?
everyone. But people who go beyond
Okay.
are doing it for kindness.
So
Or they're doing it for their college application.
you see. So even in terms of grading, there's an awful lot, and this is sort of another point behind this. Grading is always subjective. As
Okay.
much as we want to be qualitative and quantitative in our assessment, you're only assessing a very small part. But more important to your resolution
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the education of the entire person. So if somebody comes out of a school and they are only cognitively educated, that's a problem.
They lack the maturity. I think I kind of understand what your argument is talking about. It's saying that a kid who has a 4.8 and gets A's pluses in math, but can't appreciate the math, or can't actually express the math or communicate the math, is less valuable to society than someone who got A minuses but now can explain it. Is that the kind of argument you're?
Well, I think I would take it further. Let's take student A. Student A, perfect in terms of tests, and in fact goes way beyond, does the Siemens, does the Intel, does international mathematics competitions, does debate and wins national honors, but they have no social skills. They cannot move their body. They have no body awareness. They have no awareness of even their community in terms of, they're the ones who mess up the senior sledge, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who are rude, who, a teacher's walking behind them. They don't even see that person behind them, and the door slams in a teacher's face.
Right. So you're saying that teachers can count the number of times students do that?
Oh no, but I think there can be, just as there are observations in terms of what a student does, that's part of it. When I write a recommendation, I go way beyond the cognitive. And that's exactly what a college wants to